Is your child's teaching assistant being pulled in too many directions? Maybe the support that was meant to be one-to-one is being shared between several pupils, and you've started to notice the impact. Perhaps your child has become more anxious, withdrawn, or disengaged. Maybe their confidence has dipped and their learning has started to regress. And you can't help but wonder, is my child being shortchanged in the classroom? And when you ask yourself whether your child's EHCP funding is really being used as intended, it's not suspicion, it's awareness, as your concerns are valid. As the answer isn't to accept the status quo, it's about recognising the problem without normalising it. So in this video, I'll explore how to spot the subtle signs of support starting to slip, what that means for your child, and how to make sure that their funding needs are being suitably met so that they can remain confident, supported, and fully engaged in their learning. My name is Brenda. I'm a parent mentor and a fellow parent, and I support parents raising children with individual needs and differences to stay empowered whilst they navigate through procedural challenges. And over the years, I've noticed a real shift in the staff-pupil and pupil-staff ratios, particularly for children who require additional support, as securing one-to-one assistance has become increasingly challenging, often involving ongoing negotiations to ensure a child's needs are met. And at times, it can feel as though access to support depends more on luck than on need. And as parents, without consistent involvement and advocacy, our children risk being overlooked in the classroom that's already stretched by disproportionate teacher-pupil ratios. And the predicament for many of us is that when we observe the dynamics in the classroom around how things are managed, where perhaps funding for your child is not being used in the agreed way, we often find ourselves in difficult positions in having to question these arrangements, wondering how to start a conversation without sounding as though we're trying to teach professionals how to do their jobs. And this is where the subtle signs of setbacks start to creep in, which is frustrating, especially when you've had to battle just to obtain one-to-one assistance in the first place. And because we're not in the classroom, and while it would be an incredible superpower to be a fly on the wall, quietly observing what really happens, that's simply not possible. And what would truly help is understanding the signs that support is or isn't starting to slip away. And here are 4 situational challenges where it signals signs that support is slipping away. And the first one is noticing regression in a child's learning and social confidence. This is when a child clearly needs the consistent one-to-one support to learn, stay safe and manage anxiety, especially those with autism, communication delays or other complex needs. And this can result in a child withdrawing, disengaging or becoming reluctant to attend school, creating a dynamic for us as parents to manage. We want our children to become independent and engage with their peers, yet true independence begins with reliable support. And too often, schools interpret promoting independence as reducing assistance, which ultimately hinders progress. And another sign is increased incidents or emotional outbursts. This can sometimes lead towards more incidents, emotional outbursts, and as parents we may find ourselves having to chase up what was initially promised, all while being reminded that there's never enough funding to go around. We as parents naturally expect that our child's assessed and funded needs to be fully met, but we also understand how stretched schools can be, with staff shortages, tight budgets and heavy workloads. And it's a difficult balance because while we empathise with these challenges, we still know that our child's needs shouldn't be compromised. And another sign is where the work is not being differentiated or tasks being too challenging for a child. Many parents want their children to be included in mainstream education, learning alongside their peers, and this often means extra adult support to adapt lessons, manage sensory needs and build social skills. But when work isn't tailored or staffing is limited, one-to-one support can become inconsistent, and without reliable help, children who need reassurance or communication support risk being physically present but educationally excluded. Or another sign would be where you hear your child say, "My teaching assistant" or "My helper wasn't with me today." For parents who have experienced consistent support for their child from a teaching assistant, you would know what comfort that brings for your child whilst they're engaging in their education. And we hope that the one-to-one support staff will be skilled, consistent and truly understand our child's needs. But in reality, many are untrained, part-time or shared between pupils. And even when funding is meant for one child, as a parent, we want to trust the staff, but we often find ourselves questioning whether our child's individual needs are really being met when support is stretched so thin. And by spotting these 4 signs early, it can help prevent bigger setbacks later, because schools have a legal duty to provide enough adult support to ensure each child's safety, progress and communication. Yet the existing state of affairs of underfunding, overstretched provisions often leaves children isolated or overly dependent instead. So why is it important to understand the signs? Because when we know what we want to look for, we're not then left second guessing ourselves or wondering whether we're overreacting, as we recognise real patterns, changes in behaviour, learning and confidence, and understand what those changes actually mean for our children. And it ensures that our concerns are valid and allows us to act early before small setbacks become a bigger challenge. The signs discussed in this video that highlight that support is slipping puts us in a stronger position to make sure our child's EHCP is being fully used as intended, not through confrontation but through confidence, because we can exert our influence as parents with specific examples, clear observations and a deeper understanding of what our child needs to start engaging and become successful. We're not spotting problems, we're protecting our child's progress, and we're able to advocate effectively even though we're not physically in the classroom, so that we can make sure that the right support stays in place so our children remain confident, well supported and included in their learning experience. So if you feel like working with a mentor that would work for you, why not contact me? The information is in the description box below. So if you've liked this video, why not give it a like or a share? Or alternatively, why not take a look at my website? But for now, keep doing what you're doing, stay focused, stay empowered, and keep creating progress. Thank you for listening.